Okay. All right. So, I think that's good enough. And good morning again. We're happy to have you here as part of our Sunday celebration. Whether you're here in person or you're gallivanting for the 4th of July weekend, or you are watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube. Today I thought I would talk about this idea of boundaries, because it's been popping up all week with people that have been calling me. There's been a lot of distress around some of our political situations, some of our judicial situations. And so I just thought I would kind of run this idea through us today. And I know that this is something that people talk about a lot. And I remember when I was first getting into the field of social service back in the late 70s, that was the buzzword of the day. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. All about boundaries. And now, though, as I look at this idea, I really see that as we grow spiritually, there's a time and a place for them. And then we actually move beyond them. So as we move from what I call beginning consciousness, or often it's called victim consciousness, into how to work effectively with the spiritual law of consciousness, in moving from victim to learning how to work with the law, one thing that we do is we start to have some boundaries. And why do we need them? Well, I think people generally feel that they need them because, well, they've been abused in the past, that people have walked all over them, that they've wiped their feet on them, that they've, well, you know what I mean. It's just like, oh my God, I have to have some boundaries here. Otherwise people are just gonna so take advantage of me that I will disappear. I'll just go down the drain. I gotta get these boundaries. But now when I think about it, with all that's happening in the world today, and when I really go within and think about this, I think that a boundary is a form of separation. A boundary is a wall. A boundary is when we cover our heart. And I believe that with all that's going on in this world, no good can ultimately come from that. It's like we're saying to people, you can go this far, but that's far enough. You can't go any farther. But are there really a need for walls? If we're going to say that we're on a spiritual path, that we're leading a spiritual life, is there really a need for walls? If we're on a spiritual path, can we have walls even? Can we have walls that actually separate us from other people? I don't think so. Because see, our relationship is with the infinite. And to me, this week, this was a really, really big thing that I have to remember all the time, that my relationship is with the infinite. So to try and compartmentalize people or situations or difficulties or things that I would really like to avoid, it doesn't make sense. What I have to go back to again and again and again is that I have a relationship with God, with Spirit, with infinite intelligence, with the infinite itself. And that's the most important relationship I have, that relationship with God, my relationship with Spirit. So the big picture is, I think anyway for me, that boundaries are so often used to separate us. Boundaries are a way to not keep our heart open, to put like a little halt or a little slowdown on our own growth. But see, we're all connected on the invisible side of life. We teach that here. We teach that on the unseen side of life, all people are connected. And why would we try and separate when everything good that happens in our life comes out of an awareness of our oneness with God? God is love, and love is in all people, because that is who and what we are. We are emanations of love. Now, I think that we've all had or have had a situation where we've experienced people who in some way invalidated us. They've made us feel small. They made us feel unimportant. Whatever that is for you. And it doesn't feel good. We can all agree on that, I'm sure. So if I just check in on myself, I have to ask, now having had that done to me, why would I ever do it to somebody else? Why would I do it to another person? And we teach that what goes around comes around. What I put out into the universe is coming back to me. So knowing how awful that feels, then why would I do that to another person? Because I'm telling the universe, hey, bring me more of that. See, I want to do better than that. I want to be a better person than that. And I'm sure that you do too. And for all of us, I believe that we want to feel like we absolutely did our best at the end of the day. When we put our head down on the pillow and we look back and reflect over the day, for a moment before we head off to the land of Nod, we want to know that we did our best, that we showed up in life today as the person we want to be, that we were loving, that we were kind, we were compassionate, we were giving. All of those things that we think of as the noblest qualities of our soul, we want those to have been demonstrated by us on every given day. For all of us, I believe, we want to feel like, we're in the game, like we're really being what we came here to be. That we put a little more love, a little more light, a little more good into the world. Now, if people make us feel small or unimportant or wrong or judged, and I know it's insane, but, well, what should I do? What do I do with those people who try and do that? What do I do with those situations? Because we want to say, well, I just can't let them continue to be that way with me. Well, the real problem is not that somebody said or did something. The real problem, I believe, is that on some level, deep down, on some level, we agree with what people said or did, or it wouldn't affect us so much. And I know that's a hard part of our teaching. But if I don't agree, if I don't agree, people can say whatever they want to say, and it'll just be like water just rolling off a duck's back. And people may say, well, what about my needs? What about my needs? We hear that a lot. What about my needs? I'd have to have my needs met. All of your needs, and I'm speaking spiritually now, all of your needs have now and always have been and always will be divinely met. That's the consciousness that we want to inhabit. That whatever the outer plane statistics and facts and things are right now, on the inner plane, you as spirit, your needs have always been met. And they will always be met. And that's the consciousness that I think we need to be embracing all the time, regardless of the externals. See, we're a metaphysical church. We don't base how we're doing on an external thing. It's that mistake that people make a lot. They compare their insides to other people's outsides. And I want you to be just looking at your insides. That's what we want. Just looking at the inside. Now, I've had people say, well, you know, I just give too much. Well, based on the current situation and condition of our world, I think we have a ways to go before we can say we give just too much. I get this little magazine, many of you probably get it too. It's the Art magazine, and I really, really like it. They put some really nice articles in there. And there was one article that I read, man, probably about a year ago actually, but I liked it so much. It was about a man in Michigan, and he was a masonry contractor, and he worked with bricks and concrete. And he had built in his backyard a pizza oven so he could have friends over, and he and his family would have pizza parties with his friends in the backyard. And I thought, what a great thing. That's a great idea. We should have one out in our yard here. And then we can have pizza after church, because it's a perfect food, if you ask me. All 4 food groups. And kids like it, I like it, so we've got to get busy building one. But anyway, the man had built this pizza oven in the backyard, and with the supply issues that everything was going on, and inflation, all that sort of stuff, he started noticing that the grocery stores were out of bread. So he started baking bread and giving the loaves away. And he was giving to people that were, working, and people that were at food banks and all of that sort of stuff. He started bringing loaves of bread to nursing homes and hospitals. And he said his whole family got involved. His wife, his mother-in-law, his kids, they were all wearing gloves, making this bread, moving from a 500-degree oven right into a paper bag, and then off to delivering them. And he ended up making like about 100 loaves of bread a day. And I thought this was such an incredible thing, because he thought, here's a need. This is what I can do. This is how I can somehow be a part of putting a little more healing, a little love, a little light into the world here. And I just really liked that idea. I just really, really liked the story. So he's an example of not having to be tough and guarded, and just showing the love and the compassion that we are. So the notion of I have to be tough, I have to be strong, I have to be guarded to protect myself, to not be taken advantage of. Well, when I think about that, it's that, we don't get healed. Healing doesn't happen because we become a little gruffer, a little harder, a little tougher. Healing doesn't happen when we do that. That's not how healing works. And people jump to the idea, well, if I'm loving and kind, then I'm just going to be a doormat, right? Well, I think that's really a huge jump. And I also think that that is not true. The real and the highest power is to know that there is nothing that anybody can do to us. Because the truth is, I belong to God. You belong to God. So the challenge of being on the spiritual path, it seems to me anyway, is to keep my heart open, and to keep opening my heart regardless of what the appearances say. Because we don't want to be guided and dictated to by appearances. We believe in a higher reality, a spiritual truth that is so much greater than the evidence of the earth plane. And that, to me, seems to be the challenge on a spiritual path, keeping my heart open. Because life is always presenting us with little pockets of evidence as to why we should close our heart, why we should just close it and put a wall around it and just guard it. So really, it's, can I love a little bit more? In this situation, can I love a little bit more? And how about in this situation over here? Can I love a little bit more? And when I think about that person that did this or that, can I love a little bit more? And the truth is, yes, people do and say hurtful things. I get it. We all get it. Everybody's had those experiences. People sometimes do and say unconscious things. People behave in a way that it's just unskillful. and ugly. And humanly, I can't prevent that. But it's not about those things that happen. It's how I, in my own mind, experience those things. You know, I could go unconscious as a result of that, or I could become more conscious. I could become more unloving, or I could become more loving as a result of all of those things that happen. See, I think that this is actually the message of Christ, which is to love more. That if somebody treats you badly, then you have to not just like say, well, I'm just going to close myself off to them. No. If somebody treats you badly, somebody says something or does something unkind, then immediately your response must be in your own mind, I forgive you. I release you to God's love. I forgive you. I release you to God's love. I forgive you. I release you to God's love. Let that become your prayer, your mantra, on and on and on again. And what happens is you get free. You get free. The hook is no longer there for you. Because power ultimately is an expression of God's love. Power comes from God within us. The truth is spiritually, each of us, we are so much more than we have ever thought we are. We are these big, infinite spiritual beings, these beings of love and light and goodness and joy. And I believe that that is the truth about everyone. And our goal is to create a context, to create a world where everyone can come forward as that, where everyone can be their gift. And then we won't have to worry about things like, will we be having a war or a protest, or will our rights be eliminated? Is our democracy in trouble? On and on and on. With all of these things that pull at our attention. We'll just be thinking about planning our next party, our next potluck. And that's what really we came here to live, to just be the emissaries, the vessels for God to spring and to show forth on this planet, on this earth, by means of us, to show the qualities of the infinite coming through us to make this world a world that works for everyone. And so it is. Let's turn our attention inward right now, recognizing that right here where we are, God is. That we are surrounded, we are filled with God's infinite loving spirit. The very principle, power, and presence of life itself courses through our veins. We are one with God, and we are all connected with each other on the unseen side of life. And so I claim for each and every one of us now that we see ourselves as the great vessels of love and light that God has made us to be. Each and every one of us, we are a vessel of love and light in the world. I know to give unto life in a healing way, we are here to be that giver. And that anything that we have carried that does not serve us, whether it's a thought or a belief or an idea or a habit pattern, a belief about other people or life or the world, if it doesn't serve us, I claim right now that in this instance, in this holy instant, we put it down. We let that belief go, and we embrace a greater truth. The truth that we are each emanations of God's light and love in the world. So we include in our prayer today our family members and friends, parents and children, grandchildren, aunts, uncles, nieces, everyone. And we know that right where they are, God is present right there in its fullness. The infinite mind of God is being itself uniquely and perfectly by means of each and every one of us. And so we wrap our spiritual arms around the world that we live in, and we let the blessings from our mind and heart come forward to touch every man, woman, and child on the face of the earth. We let our word be a healing salve and the energy of light and love so that everybody gets lifted up. We bless our church. We bless all churches everywhere. We bless synagogues and temples, mosques and ashrams, all paths to God. And I'm certain that we're all blessed by being together in consciousness. So with an open, gracious, full heart, I give thanks, I release this word, together we all say, and so it is. And I know Cheyenne and Larry and Olive and the group Crumb is going to lead us in another patriotic 4th of July.
God bless America.
Very good. Thank you.
Let's sing God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wonderful. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wonderful. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Yay! Every time I hear that, I still see Ethel Merman singing that. Can't ever get that out of my mind. So we come to the portion of our program that we call the affirmative giving. It's our opportunity to really know, really get, really understand that it is God, Spirit, Divine Intelligence, that is the source of all good in our life. It may look like it's coming from the outside, but those are just vehicles for God's good to come to us. So I invite you to, with me, give our affirmative giving affirmation, and to put our gift over our heart, if it's, and our hand over there, and know that we're blessing it. And we say together, from the love of pure spirit, I bless this gift. It is evidence of my faith and conviction that God, Spirit, infinite intelligence, is the source and substance of all good in my life. I send it forth to heal, prosper, and bless. I gratefully support the vision of this center. I know that my gift and my blessings return to me, multiplied abundantly. Cheyenne's going to give us some dance music. Hopefully not waltz.
Hard to dance to that. We're supposed to say I am so blessed, but it's not working. So I think a great idea is to go straight into the dance.
We can do that. We can do that.
Straight into.
Okay. We will dance, and we will know that we are so blessed. We are so blessed. So she'll get our dance music going, and you can dance up here, bless our baskets. If you have a gift, you can place that in the basket, and take an affirmation card.
Let's start.
So just kind of do a slow slide up there. Okay. Well,
There you go. Finally got it to stop.
all right. Okay. Don't you just hate technology? We just need to have a live piano player up here. If any of you play piano, we got the piano. So if you come and you want live music, we won't have to do this. So any questions or comments or agreements or different? Yes, it's been a tough week, so go ahead, go for it.
I'm trying to square our talk for today with the idea that we release things that do not serve us.
Okay.
So, can you expand on the lack of boundaries, but also at the same time releasing those things that don't serve us and people?
And yes, and people and things
Ideas,
come into
things,
our
and-
life.
yeah.
The way that I do it, for me, because it's an ongoing process. Every 5 minutes, I'm doing something. And if somebody is treating me badly, I will take a minute. John is really good about this too. I'll take a minute, and why are they in my life, and what are they trying to tell me? And because they're telling me, if somebody says, "You're too fat," well, I know I'm too fat, but on some days I'm really sensitive about being too fat, or whatever. And so I'm agreeing with them, and it's tripping my own sense of not enoughness and inadequacies. I know in the late 70s, I needed to go through treatment for substance abuse. And during that time, I had to put boundaries between talking to my family. And because that would trigger me into, I didn't have enough internal stuff. But I had to look at that and just say, this is not for me right now. I bless you, do your thing, but you can't be in my space now because I'm working with me. Trying to be strong enough to know the truth about me is divine and loving, and I'm enough. But when I'm in this space with you or this situation, I forget that, and I don't have the underwear to keep my integrity of who I am. So does that help, or does that not?
Yes, I get that, but I guess I'm thinking more along, like our talk was kind of about not having that and how to square that with also at the same time releasing it. So is it more of recognizing that those people or situations are in our life and taking something good from it,
Yes.
releasing them, but not necessarily allowing them or that idea to crush us as a spiritual being,
Right.
but
Because we're all connected on the unseen side of life. We teach that. I really get that. There's no you and me. We look like there's a you and me, but on the unseen, we're all one. So if that one is love, your behavior is toward me that I don't like, is showing me something within me that is not representing that. So you are a gift to me to show me where I do my work. And so I release you to your highest good, knowing that I am the writer, the producer, the actor.
is there a volume button on there?
There is not.
one life, and that's my life, but it's all in my life is all of this, and there's really only one life, and it's God's life. So anything that comes into my life, I have created it to be there. So I thank you for your presence and whatever you have brought to me that I need to clean up in my own life. It can't be there without me. I'm the common denominator. And that's the hardest lesson that we have, I think, in the science of mind. That I am the writer, the director, the producer, the casting agent, and the actor in this whole scheme of things. And so I release you to be who you are, but I work on me that I'm not affected by what you do anymore. And that's a daily challenge for me. I'm sure it is for many people, but it's a daily challenge for me. Marguerite.
There's a short saying that I use a lot for when I'm hurt or when I hurt somebody else. I love you. I forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
Please forgive me.
Okay, I agree with that. And where we are in our spiritual growth changes. We start down here. We're always spiritual beings, but we don't know it. And as we evolve, less and less affects us that people do. And so in the way that I look at it, I don't forgive the other person, I forgive me. Because I'm the one that brought them in for the learning experience for my spiritual growth. So thank you for doing your part. And that's just an evolution on the spiritual path for me. Everyone's doesn't look like that. Everybody has a different spiritual path. We all came here, but we all have different curriculums. Anybody else?
I don't know how that you're talking made me realize this, but I had just gotten a new dog. I've had her about 2 months, and she is ruling my household. It's like I'll feed her, she won't eat it, so I'll give her something else. She'll turn her nose up at it. So I'm just trying to please this little dog and, do everything I can to make her happy. And it reminds me of when I was married. I was trying to make my husband happy, and I couldn't make him happy either. So I'm resenting this little dog because it's reminding me of how my husband feels.
So it's perfect.
So how I feel.
It's perfect that you brought that dog into your life to bring that awareness to you. And
Well,
just
how can I fix the dog?
no fixed dog.
Train it.
No, I would do some forgiveness work on yourself around your husband and release him. And for some reason, and this happens to women a lot, that we don't feel that we are enough and that our job is to please the other person.
Right.
And so the work is with you that I am enough. I love and approve of myself. I don't have to please him. He's perfectly capable. Now I know that he's moved on to another dimension of life, but you can still work with him because we're still all connected and say, I release you and thank you for your part in my life. I've grown beyond my need to please you now, so get your own dinner. And say that to the dog. Go ahead and say that to your dog. I get it. I get what you're saying. I got a cat that does that. And, but I've just stopped. You eat what I get, and if you'll eat it when you're hungry enough. My mother did that with us.